With the NBA Finals one game away from getting wrapped up and Denver hoisting the Larry O'Brien Trophy, the offseason is right around the corner, and the first step of every NBA offseason is the NBA Draft, and this one is no different, as the 2023 NBA Draft is just right around the corner. Literally right, you can see it. It is right there, okay? It's not very far away at all. And like every draft, there's teams in there hoping to change their team's fortune around in just one night. And with players like Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson in it, that is a very realistic possibility for any team that drafts them. It's probably going to be the Spurs, let's be honest. And the Spurs could once again become the dynasty we once known them as, and no telling how much better every team's going to get. But also, just like in every draft, obviously they all have their headliner, number 1 overall pick, and like the top 10 guys. But what a lot of drafts have that not a lot of people talk about is the steals of every class. I mean, just look at last year, guys like Walker Kessler and Jalen Williams, both were much better than expected, and there was also a few other guys, and no one expected them to be as good as they were, but yet they came out and both made all-rookie teams. So there's every year those kind of diamond in the roughs type players, and those are the players we're going to be focusing on today. Now, when I do talk about them, I'm not going to be talking about them in any specific order of who I think is going to be the best steal to worst steal. I'm just going to be naming 10 guys I personally think are going to be much better than their value currently is at, or at least as projected to be at. But with that being said, let's get right into this video. So the first player I want to get to is going to be Jordan Hawkins out of UConn. He is a 6'5" point guard at 180 pounds, and he is a huge piece to UConn's championship run, where they did end up winning the entire NCAA tournament. So they played extremely good, and he, like I said, was a huge part of that, being an absolute sniper from the three-point line. He can catch and shoot, he can make his own three, his three-point shot is one of the best in the class, and on top of that, he can score from all three levels while also being a very solid passer. So just overall, Jordan Hawkins could be an extremely good player, and he is projected to go around like the 14th to like 20th pick, and I think he could potentially be a top 5, maybe even top 8 talent in this draft class. And with his maturity and his combination of just being able to be a very good offensive player and very smart offensive player with also some sneaky athleticism with him, I just think overall Jordan Hawkins could be an extremely good piece for anybody's team whenever they're able to pick him. And I think looking back, he could be one of the bigger steals of this 2023 class. And then moving on to the second player is going to be Colby Jones. And Colby Jones is kind of in the same boat. He's also a 6'5" point guard. He played at Xavier, and his team also made a fairly impressive run in the March Madness tournament last year, and he is more of a catch and shoot guy. He's a very good three-point shooter. He can make his shot from everywhere, but he's going to be more of a three-point shooter in my opinion. He's also a fairly solid defender, and overall I just think he's going to be a great rotational guard for years and years to come, and I think if he gets a chance early, he could impress a lot of people, because I'm a lot higher on him than a lot of people are, and I think his handle, his passing, his scoring is all going to really help him a lot at the next level, and I think he's going to be much better than people are expecting. And now third, we have Maxwell Lewis Jr. Now, Maxwell Lewis Jr. is a 6'7" small forward out of Pepperdine, and he is also a very solid player. One of the better small forwards at the beginning of the year. I had him going like top 5 for a while in the beginning of the year. He started off extremely hot. Now, he did cool down a little bit, but a lot of that could have been due to his team was very bad around him, and other teams could just afford to pretty much only lock in on him, which did not help his chances at all. So I think overall, Maxwell Lewis kind of got hurt from playing on a worse team, but it also helped him because he was able to take on a bunch of the offensive load. So I think it was like a double-edged sword, and I would be very interested to see how good he could be in the NBA level, because I do think his offense is going to translate. He has very good length that could make him a very solid defender as well, and also his offense is very good from three-point shooting, from mid-range to being able to get to the paint. He's very good at doing all of that, and he can make a shot wherever he is on the court. So I do think Maxwell Lewis could be a very intriguing prospect, and maybe even one of these steals of the class, and he's one of these few guys on this list that legitimately could have star potential in the future. And the next guy I want to talk about is going to be Bryce Zink out of Ohio State. Now, Bryce Zink, he is a 6'6" guard who is very strong, extremely bulky, and in my opinion, he is like the Memphis Grizzlies dream type player, because they already have so many of his exact build on their team, and if Memphis is able to get him, I just think he's a perfect fit for them. But that's kind of besides the point. I think no matter where he goes, he's going to be very solid. He's an extremely good three-point 3-point shooter. He's a very high effort guy, high energy guy that anyone loves to have on your team. And you combine that with actually being a skilled scorer from the 3-point line and also being a very solid defender and being strong enough to box out and grab rebounds no matter who he's going against is extremely, extremely valuable. And I think he's supposed to go around the 20th pick mark, and I think that could be an absolute steal depending on who goes ahead of him. And now for the fifth guy at the midway point, we have Jalen Hood Shafino. Now this guy is probably the last commonly known guy in the class that I'm going to be talking about. Like, if you haven't followed the draft fairly closely this year, you might not know some of the names that are left on this list, but Jalen Hood Shafino should be a guy that a lot of people are familiar with. He is a 6'6" guard out of Indiana who is just a very talented offensive player. Now, yes, his defense needs help, and he's not a great passer or anything like that, but his offense speaks for itself. He has very solid athleticism. He can score from literally everywhere on the court, and he just needs to work on his efficiency a lot. Now, efficiency is something I take into account a lot, so having him on this list means I have faith that he is going to be able to improve his efficiency because he's able to make any shot he wants. The problem is he's not able to make it consistently enough to have him going in the lottery or anything. So I do think Jalen Hood Shafino has all that potential and really needs to develop it, but I think he's still a little far away from actually being there. So now for the first guy, probably the more unknown talent in this class is going to be Mike Miles Jr. out of TCU. Now, Mike Miles Jr., in my opinion, even though he's only 6'1" and 195 pounds, I think he could be a very good starting level guard in this league one day. He is a great scorer. He has good defense. He's very strong. He's a solid passer. He has very high basketball IQ, and he plays with extremely, extremely good energy and just effort at all times. And in my opinion, he should be a first rounder. And if he was just a little bit taller, if he was 6'3", 6'4", I think he is guaranteed to be a first rounder in this draft, but he's probably going to slip to the second round. And I think whoever picks him is going to be getting a great either backup point guard for a long time, or maybe even at the end of the year, a starting level guard. That's how much I believe in him. I think his offense is very good. His ability to make his own shots very good. And he even has an ability to get his teammates involved. And all around, I just think Mike Miles Jr. is going to be a contributing player one day in the NBA, despite how low he is supposed to go in this class. Even some people have him going undrafted. And now the seventh guy on the list is going to be Daron Holmes. Now, Daron Holmes is a very, very talented and gifted player out of Dayton. He is a 6'10" forward at 220 pounds, but he's also a very good athlete. He has, like I said, great size, and he has a skill set that is very promising for someone built his way. His size not only lets him guard every single position on the court, like his size and athleticism combined, but he also has a skill set to back that up, as he does have a solid 3-point shot. He, like I said, he can score from inside in multiple different ways, and he is a fairly good finisher as well. Now, yes, he still has to improve greatly in a few different areas, but from his freshman to sophomore year, he actually improved in almost every single major statistical category possible, so that gives a lot of hope for his work ethic and how much he could improve from his sophomore year in college to his rookie year in the NBA, and hopefully he can keep developing his skills till that size and talent can really be utilized to its fullest potential. And now for this next guy on the list, I would like to apologize for any names I've already butchered and any names I'm going to butcher, because I know I'm about to butcher this guy's name, and that is Bilil Kalabali. Okay, he's an 18-year-old from France. He played on the same organization as Victor Wembanyama, and he is a 6'6" small forward, and he's just all around an extremely, extremely good prospect. His potential to be a two-way young wing in this league is extremely, extremely high. He's already a very, very underrated athlete. He can score from basically everywhere. He has a very good catch and shoot game, and he's also shown potential to make shots off the dribble. Now, yes, he's still very young and has to develop these things, and he might not be a usable player for regular rotations for a few years, but I do think by the time he's around 19, maybe even 20 years old, he should be able to be a usable player, and I think he could develop into a very solid two-way player in this class, and he's one of the more underrated guys in this entire draft class, in my opinion. And now for the second to last guy in this video, we're going to go with Grant Nelson out of South Dakota State. And this is really getting into the point to where you probably have never heard of this guy. Okay, so Grant Nelson is a 6'11" center, 233 pounds, and like I said, from South Dakota State. And that's the main reason no one ever heard of him. But if you watched him play, you would see that he is almost a perfect big for today's NBA, as he is a legitimate threat on offense. Like, he can score from all three levels. He can shoot the ball, he can dribble dribble the ball. He's fairly athletic. He's a solid rebounder. He can block shots very well as well. And like I said, his offensive skill set is extremely, extremely good. So I legitimately think Grant Nelson is one of the best big men in this entire class. And I think whoever picks him is going to be getting an absolute steal because he's basically the full package you want out of a big man. He just lacks any of the major competition that the other guys played. And I think that's why he is falling so much. But I do think Grant Nelson could be a very big steal for anyone that picks him. Even if he goes undrafted, I think they would be getting one of the best undrafted prospects in the entire class, hands down. And the last guy we're going to talk about, and I once again am sorry for butchering your name, we're going to be talking about Sidy Cissoko. I know for a fact that's not how you say the name, but he is a guy out of the G League. He's 6'7", 220 pounds, and although he does have his problems and his issues on the offensive end, he plays at a very, very high energy level and always has a high running motor. He talks trash. He's just one of those guys that you love to have as a role player and as a kind of a enforcer on your roster, and I just think overall he's going to play with very high energy, and he's going to be a great defensive guy for whoever drafts him. He's just going to be one of those dogs, and he's also shown flashes of a lot of offensive potential, and due to his size, athleticism, and other things like that, I think maybe he could be a steal if he goes late enough in the class, and I think he's going to be a very solid player. But unfortunately, guys, that's more for this video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think any of these guys are steals? Who do you think I missed? Who do you think I shouldn't have had? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like the point, hit the like button and subscribe button. The absolute word, man. Hope you have a blessed day. Because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah.